Hey, this is Dave and Josh from Baseball Think Tank. Thanks for checking out the site. As promised, here are your 5 movements you must master in the weight room to maximize athletic potential and also play baseball injury-free. The first movement we're going to go over is just a standard hip hinge. Josh is going to demonstrate here what a hip hinge pattern looks like. Hip hinge pattern is going to develop posterior chain strength. It's going to spare his lumbar spine because the hips are going to get stronger and be able to do more work. And it's also going to develop strength and power in the glutes, which is the largest motor in the body and what we want doing the most work. A couple different exercises, deadlift variations, so standard RDL, conventional deadlift, sumo deadlift, trap bar deadlift, as well as a kettlebell swing. The second exercise is just a basic squat. So have Josh demonstrate squat here, give him kettlebell. The big thing with the squat is we want to groove this movement pattern and then we want to be able to maintain it. It's going to open up his hips, give him excellent hip mobility, and obviously it's also going to develop strength in the lower extremities as well as in his upper and lower back. Third exercise, we want to be able to master all the different rowing variations and rowing from different angles. So I'll let Josh talk a little bit about that as I demonstrate.
The importance of the rowing is, a lot of the things that we do involve internal rotation. Of course, that includes throwing the ball. So what we try to do is combat all those forces of internal rotation. You get some scapular downward rotation, retraction. So if Dave was to do a row exercise, what we're looking for is for the scapula to preset down and back, and then limit the amount of humeral extension. So what that means is we don't want, when Dave rows, we don't want his humerus, this bone, to go too far back. We want to limit that to there. So we can do this in various positions. We can do it in a standing, as Dave was demonstrating, a unilateral standing horizontal row. We can do it in a half kneeling position, where we have an athlete get down on one knee, tall spine posture, and pull in with the same side arm as the downside knee, or he can pull with the opposite arm as the downside knee. We could also do it in a seated variation, and we've got, of course, the horizontal row that we demonstrated here. You can do it from a vertical row, and you can do it from all different angles.
And we want to master all those different angles too, so our athletes throughout their whole training cycles will go through all kinds of different angles. The next exercise is just you want to be able to master unilateral lower body movements. So that means one leg at a time. So you're looking at lunges, step ups, single leg deadlifts, any type of lunge matrix. And if somebody can't master, if we see an athlete that struggles in that movement pattern, so if they go into a step back lunge and we see all kinds of instability, as Josh said, we'll actually put them down on the ground and they'll start mastering all types of movements in this position. And Josh can tell you a little more about why that's important.
Yeah, what this half kneeling position does is it's sort of a regression, as Dave stated, from a single leg exercise. So what I would do here is I would start Dave, say he's weak with his right hip and extension. For instance, on a step back lunge with his right leg going back. What we can do is put him in this position where he's got his setup is perfect, where he's got both quadriceps or both thighs parallel. He's in a tall spine posture. He's going to contract his glute and his abdominals, and then we can have him do various exercises from this position, whether it be an overhead press, a horizontal row. We have athletes do what's called a kettlebell halo in that position. All those things to make them more stable in a single leg or asymmetric stance before we get them doing standing, more dynamic unilateral exercises.
And that's not just our younger athletes, not just our middle school kids. I mean, we'll have our college and professional guys that come in here. Some of them, especially after the season, just playing that many games to develop the asymmetries, and we'll put them down in that position for half their warm-up. They'll do the exercises and that.
Exactly. We also, we'll use that position in between sets sometimes too. So if we have a guy deadlift, we might have him deadlift and then immediately go into a less intense exercise. Say it's just getting into that half kneel posture and holding it, or maybe we'll have him do a half kneel chop and lift after he does a strength exercise such as an RDL or a squat.
And the last exercise that we really want you to master is a loaded walk. And so a loaded walk, what that looks like, Josh wants to grab kettlebell there. There's a couple different variations. One is just a single arm farmer's walk. And all he's going to do is put the weight in one hand, weight slightly off the body so that way he can't pin it against him and lean. Then he's just going to stay nice and tall, and then he literally will just walk. And we'll walk for distance. He can do it. He's got a single arm here. He can do a double arm where he actually has the same weight in this arm. And then we can do one where we actually offset. And he takes one, weight goes overhead. Notice his arm is locked out. So here we're going to build shoulder stability, and we're actually getting work across the body, which is the way the body works. So he's developing core stability throughout the entire movement. So it's a dynamic movement as he's walking. And when we say we want you guys to master these exercises, we don't want you just to go in the weight room and train these things. We want you to actually go in and excel at them, to work on getting better, because the magic's in all these movements. If you don't do the movements correctly and you don't strive to be great at the movements, you're not going to get the full benefit. We're going to actually come back here in a couple weeks, and we're going to start showing you each one of these movements that we went over, and we'll show you all the exercises, the progressions, and get a little bit more in depth on why you should be working toward mastering all these movements.
As Dave stated, that's the key. We feel these 5 movements are the essential movements that are going to have the most carryover to performance on the playing field, and that's why we chose them.
Again, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for checking out the website. Keep checking in. We're going to have a lot of great content coming for you. It's Dave, Josh, at Baseball Think Tank.